Shall we? There we go. Okay, here comes the mulligan of this brings us to the tip of the day portion of the meeting. Tonight's tip of the day will be given by Andy Byrne. Take it away, Andy.
Okay, do we turn on the sharing screen? Because I don't see that I have that authority.
Share screen is on for everybody, Andy.
Okay, very good, because I'm not seeing it on my board there. All right, so.
Yeah.
First, let me see a show of hands of who is routinely using the e-portfolio to keep your information about your evaluations intact, or using it to give feedback to others, or little badges of feedback to others. Is anybody doing that?
Not often.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about in a few minutes is the use of the feedback badges and the documentation structure that exists in the Pathways program. You're familiar when you go into Pathways, you'll see this picture, and I'm going to show this.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
It's 2 minutes.
Today, I want to show you how to access Pathways projects. Start by going to the Paths and Learning page. On this page, you'll see your path. Click Open Curriculum and then select your level. While you can access projects in any level, it's recommended that you start in level 1. Every project has an Activate button. Clicking Activate is just the way you indicate that you're ready to start working in the project.
We're just getting audio, not video. Andy?
Really?
Give a second to refresh.
We're seeing a
Once
black
it does, the project is ready to launch.
I'm not sure how to.
Maybe you're
You're still not getting video?
no, maybe you're on one of your other screens and you need to here and select that.
Project may open in a new tab or a separate window, depending on your browser. The first page of every project looks like this. Let's take a quick look inside. If this is your first project, you may want to review the navigation page. When you're ready to keep going, just click the arrow to the far right.
Andy, why don't you try and figure it out, and maybe we can do this at the end.
All right, one of the things that I will do for you all is to give you the link to that 2-minute video production. And I would find where it is here.
Okay, can you stop screen sharing, Andy, since we're not actually seeing anything?
All right. So screen sharing
Every
and stuff.
project begins with an introduction so you know what to expect.
Okay, so I stop screen sharing.
Your assignment page.
Okay, we're still getting your audio, so better just stop it completely for right now.
All right.
But why don't you just post the link in the chat, and we can go on to our speaker.
Am I up?
Yes, but Kim, just before you take it on, I've just been taking a look at the clock, and we are now sufficiently far behind that there won't be room for both mine and Angela's presentations. I'm perfectly happy to hold mine since they were 2 impromptu speeches anyway. So if we hold mine till a future meeting, and you go straight to Angela.
Okay. Are you good with that, Angela? Sounds good. So we now move on to the prepared speakers portion of the meeting. And our first speaker for tonight is the world-renowned champion speaker, Angela Heath. Angela's speech is from Presentation Mastery Level 5, demonstrating expertise, prepared to speak professionally. The title of her speech is Unleashing the Potential of AI in Your Business, Shatter the Six-Figure Barrier. Angela would love to get detailed feedback on how she can make the speech more powerful. It is the abbreviated version of a speech she will be delivering to a partner's audience in 1 month. The audience is a group of early-stage entrepreneurs who are not very familiar with AI and are struggling to earn more revenue. Please welcome Angela Heath, Unleashing the Potential of AI in Your Business, Shatter the Six-Figure Barrier. Angela, we do not hear you.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me now, Kim? Fantastic. Welcome to the presentation today. We are going to be talking about how you can use AI to grow your business. This is all about you, how you can grow your business. Now, I know some of you have been struggling along, trying to get AI to work for you. Some of you are afraid. I know you are. And I am going to give you some very simple tools that you can use. And these tools are going to save you so much time, effort, and money. So before we start, I want to address the elephant in the room. You all know what it is. How many of you have heard such negative things about AI? You are really backing away from it. Go ahead and raise your hand if you've heard such negative things about AI. I'm not sure if David is really raising his hand because his hand has been up most of the meeting. But some people, like Katie, admits she thinks it's pretty daggone scary. And you know what? If you've seen any news broadcast about AI, I understand why you believe that. Because you've probably seen some things like this. That AI is going to take everybody's job away. At least 300 million jobs. And if it's going to take away jobs, doesn't that mean it might take away some of your business opportunities? And you've probably heard that AI is going to destroy the world. How many people have heard that? I've heard it over and over and over. In fact, Elon Musk, he was telling everybody that for a long time. And guess what? When he was recording those rants about AI taking over the world, at the same time, he was going around the world recruiting people to join his team so he could launch his own AI. Now, the truth of the matter is, none of this is really true. It's kind of false. Let me tell you what I mean. AI is neutral. It is like a hammer. With a hammer, you can build a magnificent architectural structure, right? And with that same hammer, you can go out into the street and bash in a stranger's head. AI is a tool, so we can't blame it for what will happen, what has happened, what you're afraid of. Let's put the blame where it belongs, and that's on the people. It's how you use AI that really matters. Now, we do need some safeguards, and luckily the government is all over it. I don't know if that means we'll be safe or not, but they are looking at some protections that we need to put in place because it's a very, very powerful tool. But let's talk about business. Let's talk about the good things we can do with AI. Now, you may have seen some people making millions of dollars in a very short period of time. I'm not talking about these types of businesses, but you should know about them. I am not talking about the influencers. Can you believe it? There's a such thing as an AI influencer. There are brands, clothing brands that are hiring AI models to show off their new line of clothing. I mean, that's crazy. These images are photographs or videos. They're not even real people, but it's growing. And I'm not talking about this other business you may have heard about, the AI girlfriend. I'm not trying to get any of you to do anything like that. I'm talking about real businesses where you are selling your skills, you're selling your products on an open market. But the reason I share these with you is because I want you to understand, if you can be creative with AI, so many doors are open to you that you never thought possible. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am and why I am an AI enthusiast. You see, I've been in business most of my adult life, and I started out with a consulting group. I had that group for over 20 years and we did pretty good. My son was sick, you guys know the story, for 3.5 years. And during that time I didn't work, but because my consulting company did so well, I managed to survive. After my son was doing better, I started my second company, and that company is paying my bills right now. And it gave me an opportunity to do some of the things I love to do, which is traveling around the country and just inside of our country, seeing how people live very differently. But AI came along and it fascinated me. And I thought, what could a non-techie tech like me do with AI? So guess what? I'm starting a third brand. It's called the AI Biz Generators. And what I'm doing is capturing the power of AI, putting it into tools that beginning business builders can use, beginning authors can use to go faster and create things that are much better, I hate to say it, than what we could do. It really can. And I'm excited about it. I'll share some of those tools with you as discussed a little bit later. Let me just give you a really quick and dirty overview of this whole AI thing. So some people think AI is new. It is not. It's been around since the 1950s. It was 1955 when the term artificial intelligence was born. And it was growing really fast. And then for some reasons, they call it the winter of AI. In the 70s and 80s, it kind of quieted down a little bit. But then when Siri came on the scene in 2011, you iPhone users know who Siri is. And then Alexa came on the scene in 2014, then AI began to speed up. But nothing had impacted AI until ChatGPT. OpenAI had been around for a little while too, but they introduced ChatGPT November of last year. Now, what's so special about ChatGPT is number one, it is the first time in history that small businesses like ours can really harness the power of AI. Large businesses have been using this forever, and it was very expensive. So when OpenAI opened the door to the everyday business builder like you and I, it changes everything. It gives us an opportunity to automate, to move faster, to save money, to hire fewer people, or I don't want to take anybody's job away. So I kept my same assistants. I actually added one, but I'm actually doing more. We're able to get more work done because we are using AI. So I am an enthusiast of AI. Now, let me take you over and let's take a look at some of the tools that get me so excited. I'm going to show you first ChatGPT. Anybody not know what ChatGPT is? Please put a Y in chat if you've never heard of ChatGPT. It looks like most people here have at least heard of it. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to start at the beginning, just surmise it to say that it allows us to comb libraries filled with information from all over the world, right? And do it in a conversational pattern. So you know that you keep your chats over here. Your chat is just when you're talking to the AI. Now, a very quick, easy way to do prompt engineering is set the context, set your command, and then you set the conditions. So as you can see here, I was just giving it a command. I'm not going to run this, but the context is I'm telling it, this is what I want you to act like. And in this case, the persona is a brilliant career coach who can find the exact job for anyone. The command is second, create a cover letter to post that I can use for this job post. Then you would tell it, okay, here's the job post. Okay, here's my resume. You put all of that into ChatGPT. It's called training the brain. And it will create for you the conditions, a professional one-page cover letter that you can use to apply for the job. And you can tell it any other conditions you want it to be aware of when it's generating your information. Now, all of this is called prompt engineering. And for some people, I've found, they feel like it really is not as easy as other people believe. And so now what we've done is created some tools that are even easier than ChatGPT. And these are the business generators. I'm going to ask for someone to actually work with me on this. These tools are being finalized as we speak, but I need someone to come off mic, open up their mic, and let me run this generator for you. So if it's someone who might be thinking about doing a side hustle, anyone willing to volunteer? Okay, Kim, thank you so much. So what are your natural talents and abilities?
Well, I would say my natural talents are a sense of humor. I'm organized and I like to do magic.
And magic. Perfect. What are the skills that you have? Now, these are things that you've been certified in. Maybe you've gotten an education in. These are hard skills. What are you skilled in? What's your areas of expertise?
Engineering, marketing, and cable television.
And what was the last one? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I've got a weird thing in my ear. Cable television.
Cable television.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So that's our industry. We've been selling, my husband and I have been working with cable television for 38 years.
Okay.
That is
And then
my
what's
area.
your passion?
Magic, 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 and animals.
Now you just hit submit. And what you will find, this takes about 30 seconds or so. What is actually happening here is it is taking a look at Kim's, her talents, her natural gifts and skills, her skills and her passion, and is coming up with side hustle ideas for her. So she could, of course, do comedy magic shows, which we see that even today. It tells you how you do it, how much money you could possibly make from it. And this is based on actual people who are doing comedy magic shows. She could also do animal assistance therapy business because she's got a passion for animals and magic. They're going to combine those together and help people who are suffering, who need therapy with animals. You see animals now walking around the hospital. An engineering magic kit. Oh my goodness, that would be a very cool product. And they said you could maybe generate about $10,000 with something like that. And it goes on and on and on. I like number 5, Kim. A humorous engineering blog. That would be pretty cool, right? And you could grow your audience. And so it gives you the information of some things you've probably never thought about. Had you thought about any of those possibilities for a side hustle?
So not exactly, but it's very interesting. We are starting a second business and it is all about animals. Not quite in the way you mentioned as far as therapy, but very close. So
Okay.
hey, I got it spot on.
That's fantastic. Let's take a look at another one. Now, this tool, oh my goodness, if you run this tool, it is going to tell you about your customer. Let's have someone else volunteer. We'll run this really quickly and see what it does for your customers. Someone who may already be in business, so we can check the accuracy of what it says about your customers. Do I have a volunteer? Don't everybody run at one time. I need someone to open up their mic and share. Anybody?
Sure.
Okay. Tell me a little information about your ideal customer.
Somebody who wants to have meetings, collaborative spaces, or offices virtually.
Virtual offices?
Yes.
So it would be, your ideal customer is not a virtual office. It is it a small business who's looking for virtual offices? Are they typically small businesses?
Small businesses or nonprofits, usually, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes large businesses.
Okay. And you're going to be selling virtual office space, right?
Virtual office space design.
That's pretty interesting. I never
Thank you.
heard of that, space design. Okay. And what area are you going to target?
Everyone who can get on a computer, but for the interest of what you're doing, I'll just say the United States.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
Now, this takes about 30 to 40 seconds, and let me tell you why. What the AI is doing behind the curtain is it's looking to find people who want virtual office space. It is looking across all of these databases to determine what do these people have in common? And it is going to come back to us with the demographics, the psychographics, the buying behavior, the social media use for your ideal customer. And then what you can do, and I'll actually send this to you so you can have it. What you would actually do with this data is create a marketing campaign that is targeted exactly to the people who are really going to buy from you. So if we go up to the top, there's 27 data points for you. And for sake of time, I can't go through all the ways you can use this, but let me just highlight a couple things. Their most urgent goals. When you know what your customer wants, that's the way you talk to your customer. It's also going to tell you their most pressing pain points. Budget is a concern, and if it's nonprofit, donor retention has nothing to do with what you're selling, but these are the things that they're concerned about. If you can relate your offer to their pain points, you can make a sell. And it goes on and on. It tells you, who do they pay attention to? Where do they go? What conferences do they attend? It tells you so much. And at the end, it gives you a short promotional ad. So what do you think about something like this? If you understood your customer better, do you think that might be helpful to you?
Definitely.
Okay. So let's just conclude. ChatGPT was a game changer. We've established that. The question is, will your company survive? And I'll tell you this, if you don't embrace and learn to leverage AI, there's a real possibility it won't. AI will not take all of the jobs because there's always going to be a need for a human to check AI. So you can do it the easy way or the hard way. Business is challenging, but it doesn't have to be this hard. I encourage you to learn about AI, take advantage of AI to grow your business. And if you'd like to talk to me, simply go over to angelaheath.com/AI and set your appointment about how we can bring AI into your business. And if you want a generator for your business, you can let me know. And then finally, I will drop in chat my gift to you. I will give you a couple of these generators for free for you to try out and for you to use with your business. And with that, let's grow.
Thank you, Angela. I have to say, I was on the I'm afraid of AI before you did your speech, and gosh, you were so spot on with everything you said about me that I think you might have converted me. So our timer for tonight is David Carr. David, could you please give a timer's report for Angela's speech?
Angela did great. She nailed it within the time that she was planning. So she's a winner. Yay!
Yay!
Best speaker.
Thank you, David. So I'm supposed to remind you to post the times, but not a problem, because it is Angela versus Angela versus Angela. So if everyone could take a moment to vote for Angela, that would be great. We now move on to the table topics portion of our meeting. And tonight's table topic master is Karthika Devi Venkataram. Sorry. Please welcome Karthika to the virtual stage.
Oh, that's wonderful, Kim. You made my day. You mentioned my name right, and I'm happy about it. Okay, let's get into today's topic. Necessity is the mother of invention. Wherever you go, humans invent things because they need something. See the picture on the right-hand side. It's in the prehistoric period, from 3600 BC. Before this, we had stone hedges which is built on that belongs to 11,100 BC. Right now, look at the picture over here. We have transitioned from prehistoric period to 2023 that stands with steel and concrete building. This is one of the example of block architecture. From prehistoric to block architecture, humans are highly fascinated towards different shapes. It's because of the fact sun, moon, earth is round in shape, and initially they got fascinated about it. Similarly, when we think about just architecture, it has a lot of things involved in it. Environment, emotion, human needs, as well as the economic involvement that one could be able to invest in. So, getting into today's topic, let me share you a quick screen where I will gladly introduce you to the table topics of today. Can you confirm if this share is visible to you all?
Yes,
So,
it is.
Thank you. So this is the wheel of emotions. If you could see, there are different emotions that one would undergo. Let me tie up today's theme with the emotions that we undergo. The rules for today is at least one of the emotions should be picked by one of each of the contestants, which means we'll have 6 contestants for today. And each contestant will have an option of selecting the numbers which are like fascinating to their emotion of today. If I select powerful, you have 4 options. You could have the possibility to select one number. I'll give you the question for today and you will be answering. Okay, let's get into the topic. And I also have the timer to be set here. So let's start with one of our guests for today. I would like to invite Mr. Grigory Bushoks. Sorry if I mentioned your name wrong. Mr. Grigory Bushoks, would you like to participate in our table topic for today?
I will, but unfortunately, you're gonna have to set up a little guy. I'm not sure what I need to do.
Okay. The table topic is an impromptu speech where you're supposed to speak for 2 minutes for on a whole of 2 minutes. After a minute, you will have a green light. After 1 minute and 30 seconds, you will have yellow, and 2 minutes is a sure stop for your speech to be winding up. Which means like you will have to select one topic for today that is categorized from peaceful, powerful, scared, mad, sad, and joyful, the emotion that you feel for today. And I will give you the option of giving an impromptu speech topic.
Can I suggest that you ask perhaps me rather than Gregory, just so that I can demonstrate what it is that you're asking for?
If you're still
I'm happy
not...
to. I was supposed to give a speech. I'm happy to give a table topic.
That's wonderful.
Good.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we'll go with our President Graham. Graham, yes, please choose a topic. Please choose your emotion of today.
I'm going to choose joyful.
Joyful. Okay. You have 17 to 19 to be selected. Can you pick one of it?
70 to 90, did you say?
17 to 19.
All right, I'll go 18.
18. Okay, let me open and see what is there for 18. So, Graham, why don't you explain us the exciting moment? One exciting moment that you had in your life.
Madam Topicsmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. I have to tell you that in terms of architecture, the most exciting moment that I have had in many years was finding myself in South Miami some years ago. I had one day to spare between we'd been driving around the United States and then we were about to take a cruise around the Caribbean and then across the Atlantic. And I had one day and we ended up in Miami and in South Miami. And anybody who has ever been to South Miami will know that the entire place is just an absolute treasure trove of Art Deco. I have a fascination with Art Deco architecture. Art Deco architecture, for those who aren't familiar with it, it's all about curves and spires and rising. It's all about striving for the future. Most places where Art Deco is concentrated is because of acts of historic, usually something to do with weather. Innisfail in Queensland, for example, most of the town is Art Deco because it was blown away in a cyclone, and when they decided to rebuild bigger and stronger and striving for the future, which was what they were looking for in the 1920s and 1930s. I've been to see Art Deco in places all around the world, but simply having a day to spare almost unexpectedly. We're supposed to go on one of those touristy trips, but we missed that by half an hour. And so we just walked the streets of South Miami, and the joy that I had in discovering all of this Art Deco laid out before me was truly extraordinary. Madam Topics Master.
Oh, thank you. I'm delighted to know about the sustainable development which has started in late 90s. Okay. So next, I would like to call, anybody would like to volunteer? Okay, Evie. Yes. Evie, would you like to unmute yourself and pick your emotion of the day?
I'll pick, let's go with powerful.
Powerful, okay. You can choose from 5 to 8. 5, 6, 7, and 8 slots are open for you.
Let's do lucky number 7.
Okay, let me open it for you. So, the slot says a quick history of the 20th century architecture, who is also termed as the father of architecture. He's Frank Lloyd Wright. He's an American architect who has dedicated his life designing organic architecture style. His styles are like, he concentrates on open plan, using steel and concrete in his construction, to have an inner and outer kind of windowing mechanism that helps the humans to endure different kinds of emotional impact in the space that they live, with the functional impact, like it could be an office space, or it could be a home, or it could be a public utility area. He concentrated on all these aspects, like the form, design, use and function, the materials and the substance which has been used for construction, as well as the spirit and feeling of human beings during his architectural design, when he designed the series of 8 buildings during his period. Okay, let's get into the topic. The topic for today, or the question for you, is like, describe your constructed or willing to construct your favorite home. Over to you.
Oh my goodness. So the moment you mentioned Frank Lloyd Wright, I am someone who is not great at remembering exactly who historical figures are. Same thing with not magicians. I remember Blondini just fine. Musicians, you know what I mean? But Frank Lloyd Wright, as it turns out, has made a lot of buildings in the city that I live, here in Kansas City, Missouri. There are 7 amazing Frank Lloyd Wright buildings in Kansas and Missouri, and I think I lived near one of them. When we first moved here to Kansas City, we had lived in Houston for 7 years. We moved in at the height of the 2020 pandemic. It was crazy. It was absolutely insane. But what we wanted to do, basically, is spend about a year living somewhere, just anywhere, the fastest place we could find, and then start house hunting. So what we did is we looked around at some cheap places, but then we realized we had stumbled on a place that was maybe a little bit less cheap, but absolutely beautiful. It was on the same street as the Nelson Atkins Museum, which if you've ever seen postcards for Kansas City, Missouri, they are on them. It was on this street with a lot of other museums as well, and all this beautiful stone and the trees. If you look at David's David's background right now, his green, like that's what it felt like walking down a street in that area. And I kind of looked at my husband after we had toured the apartment, and I was like, I think this is it. Is this where we're going to live for the next year? And he was like, I think it is. And it was wonderful. We had this balcony with these beautiful columns, and it was kind of balcony that makes you want to post on Instagram. And I did. And I had people over, and we had drinks on the porch so many times. You know, it was a nice social distancey kind of hangout balcony. And we would have conversations with neighbors from our balconies. I had a nurse living right across the balcony from me, and it was just really, really nice. And I contemplated choosing peaceful instead of powerful. And it kind of really made me feel both. Living in a beautiful place, especially an unexpected beautiful place that you just stumble upon, is truly an irreplaceable experience. And I feel pretty lucky to have lived in a place where Frank Lloyd Wright has made so many beautiful things. Thank you.
That's wonderful. I can see the emotional connect that you have with home, and I mean, I can see the difference between the home and house that you have, and the emotional connect that you try to endure with your, try to connect with your neighbors.
Based on where we are in the meeting, you probably can do one more, but you need to keep the question short. So
Definitely. Yeah, David. So, do we have one more volunteer? I am quite not able to see the complete screen.
I'll go.
Okay. Okay, Yoni, could you quickly select the emotion that suits you today? The emotion that suits you today?
Joyful.
Joyful. I think we have selected it earlier. Joyful and powerful are over. Would you like to go with something else?
You know what? Pick an emotion and I will roll with it. Kind of like life.
Okay. Let me pick sad for you. And that's going to be a simple question. 1 to 4 is open for you. The slots 1 to 4 are open.
4.
4. Okay. Let me quickly open and see what is there for you. Okay. You need to describe a place that I wouldn't want to go at all. You can include one lie in your response, and there should be 2 truths in the response as well. Combine 1 lie and 2 truths, and the time is all yours. I'm starting the timer.
People say that you aren't affected or your emotions aren't affected by others. The places that I tend to go are the recesses of my mind. Now, while physical architecture is great and going down the road is awesome, I can't wait for the day when we get uploaded, because then I get to craft the world around me that's not impacted by others. As it stands now, just like choosing the table topic today, the classism of how the question is built would require me to say, hey, people don't affect my emotions and how I craft this world. But I can also say that it is the input of others that allows us to actually choose a path that we may not travel. If I was going to tell you somewhere to go, I would tell you to be introspective. Go inside and learn yourself. That way, when you're walking down a path, it may not be the most beautiful thing, or it may be the greatest thing ever created. Deep inside, you would be able to paint the beauty on the world that is from within you. Where would I suggest that you go? Inside, to get to know yourself, to understand your emotions, so that when you see what's reflected on the outside, it will be just as fabulous no matter what it looks like. In the words of the great poet Lupe Fiasco, it doesn't matter what you see when you look outside your window. What matters is the eyes looking out. Go inside. Back to you, our table topics master.
Thank you, Yoni. That's wonderful. So I would like to call upon our timer to understand if we have one more topic to be covered or one more speech to be covered? Could we go ahead?
No, we're actually
We should
about
wrap up
3
here.
minutes
Okay,
behind now.
okay, then I'm done for the day.
Thank you, Karthika. That was one of the most interesting and unusual and informative table topics I've ever seen and very much appreciated. I know how hard it is to come up with unusual table topics. So timer for tonight is David Carr. David, could you please give us a timer's report for table topics?
All speakers were within time and can be voted on for best table topic speaker.
Awesome. Please, everyone, cast your votes. Our next portion of the meeting is the evaluations. Our general evaluator for tonight is Evie. Evie will lead the evaluation portion of the meeting. Please welcome to the virtual stage, Evie Hartman.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and everybody. Thank you so much for being here for this meeting. This is the most important part of Toastmasters, not only where we evaluate prepared things, but also practice for better evaluation and being more constructive criticizers, if you will, in our daily lives. It's a great way to practice that skill, and it's a great time to receive and think about feedback and look at the people getting feedback and learn from the feedback that they're getting. All right, without further ado, I will go ahead and call our evaluator for Angela Heath, which I believe is, let's see, is Jim Barber or Carl Walsh doing the evaluation for? Okay, I think it's Carl. All right, Carl, please go ahead and take the stage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I am virtually on stage now. So, Angela, great job. First of all, for involving your audience members in your examples and with your questions, clarity in your intention, and clarity in your content. There were no side trips that you took. You focused on what you were here to talk about. What you may want to work on, you know it. The opening, right? You got to get the opening down. But I know this is a piece in the works. And I know you, I've known you for a long time. You're going to no problem with that. So something that I would challenge you with is to, since people have heard these awful things about AI, personally, I've been a little underwhelmed by AI, not threatened, but I know people have heard that. But you might want to tell us a little about the dangers and the guardrails that need to be put into place, because one can use one's imagination and see how it could be used horribly. And, you know, you can say it's the person doing it that's responsible, but what do you know? There's really bad people in the world. So there need to be some protections put into place. As always, your speaking is clear, easily understood. Your tone, your speed, your volume, all of it's there. Your eye contact is outstanding, really. It is for Zoom. That's a really hard one for most people, including me, to master, and you've really got it down. Are you comfortable with the audience? I mean, come on, so much so I think the only time you'd be uncomfortable is if you didn't have an audience. You're perfectly at home with an audience. So one thing I do want to say, and you probably already know this topic is becoming very overcrowded. Everybody's talking about it. All speakers are talking about it, which is why I won't. But what I'm saying here is that it's so suddenly overcrowded, you need to be absolutely perfect. You need to be miraculous in your organization and in your execution in order to stand above the crowd, because you are going to be elbowing a lot of people there. I can't think of anybody who could do it better than you. And a huge thing that you did, you gave the audience actionable material. Those links, or that link that you put in chat. That's huge. That's how you're really going to get people on your side. And what a great sales tool. Let them try it out, see it. I know I'm going to be doing that. So beautiful work all around. And I know when you're done polishing it and putting everything in place, it's going to be beautiful.
Thank you very much, Carl. All right, since we only have one evaluator for today, I'll go ahead and evaluate today's meeting. And I'll go ahead and do it with one of my favorite methods to evaluate a meeting, the good, better, best method. For the good, Graham, I want to call you out. I really appreciate your attention to time, because when a world champion comes in offering to make a presentation for your club, you say yes. Like you get the heck out of the way. And Graham, you did that without a second thought with all the humility in the world. And I really appreciate that, because Angela, I really, really loved having you here tonight. Thank you so much for that presentation. And it's just great to have you here. I also noticed Udly is being used for this meeting to track the AI insights it can give us, which is both thematic to Angela's speech and just cool, just a cool thing. I might check it out later and see how bad I did. All right, and the better, of course, just a couple of things. Time, it can be difficult to stay on top of it, but it's always a fight that we fight. And we had a few tech hiccups, but that's just more like it happens, you know. The best, the sheer effort today. We had a fun entrance from the unexpected Blondini, where our favorite blonde magician gave us an introduction to the theme. I really love it when the Toastmaster gives a solid introduction, especially when they're expecting fewer speakers. When they really get into it, it fills some time, and it's wonderful. We also had a fascinating table topics, even though it might have been a little bit difficult to understand quite what was going on in the beginning. I know that you put a lot of effort into it, and it was just really cool. I've never seen anybody do that before, and I would love to see it again. So with that, I know we are getting a little tight on time, so let me just head right into our functionary roles. The grammarian, can you please tell us who used the word of the day and anything else you noticed?
With pleasure, Madam General Evaluator. To the best of my knowledge, Krithika is the only person that used the word of the day, classicism. If somebody else used it, I missed it, my apologies. In terms of our overall use of the English language, very quickly, Angela used shatter the six-figure barrier in her title. I liked that visual expression. Angela talked about combing libraries. Evie talked about irreplaceable experience. And then as GE, she used the word thematic. I liked that. And Joni talked about being introspective. We did well. We did good. Back to you, Madam GE.
Thank you very much, Jim. All right, our counter. Can you tell us how well we did?
When I got to 8 minutes in Angela's speech and realized I only had one counted, I had to call in Udly to assist me. And as you can see in the chat, we used a grand total of 87 filler words. But guess what? Udly says that's a nice job, because it's quite natural to have fewer than 4% filler words. But just to say, overall, there were 40 R's, 21 OKs, 9 likes, 8 ums, 5 O's, and 4 you knows. Personally, I only caught about 4 or 5 of those. But I was told today to work smarter, not harder, so I did. Thank you, Angela. Heath. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Joni. That was actually amazing. We got to do that more often. That's really, really cool. Okay, for our next functionary role, we have the watcher. Andy, can you tell us what you saw?
I saw that everybody was in their screens. They were not moving around. There were a couple of frames that could have been better in terms of the lighting. So if you look as an example, side-by-side frames, Angela, she's very bright and her background is bright. And I don't know whether Joshua has a blur factor on, but blur factor really is blurred right into his face. So his face is a little bit blurred. But be careful about using the blur function. Everyone else is pretty clear. Greg could use better lighting. It's a problem of being next to a window that has light coming through. Even if it's closed, it puts a shade on you that makes you hard to see. Everybody else is quite well. projecting. Carl and Evie and Graham and myself are all clear in their frames and dead center, and it looks great.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, and that's part of the things we try and brush up on here in Online Presenters Toastmasters, since we're very specifically targeted toward online presenting. Those are some of the things that we try and practice. So, all right, our chat monitor for second to last functionary role, Carl Walsh.
Yes, as far as the chat went, very good supportive comments for the speakers in there. Also, Joni did some nice graphics out there with the hammer. For those of us who didn't know what a hammer was, we got it. And so, yeah, I really encourage everyone to have fun like that when we do these things. And I see that the chat is still going on. That's terrific. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Carl. Okay, I have a curse, and that curse is I am very bad at being vote counter. I know that I sent out okay, let's see if I did this right. Oh, goodness gracious. Let me see. All right, so I'm looking at the page. I know I sent oh, there we go. Okay, I found it, guys. I found it. I am I'm at Blondini level when it comes to vote counting. All right, so our voting results as of now. Well, we all know who the best evaluator was, Mr. Carl. We all know who the best speaker was, Angela. Not on the global scale this time, but you know, we're just a tiny little club. Best speaker. All right, and the best table topic speaker. I can break ties, right?
Yes.
In that case, it's a tie between me and Graham.
Congratulations, Evie.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Evie.
And thank you for the votes.
All right.
Well, thank you, Evie. We really appreciate your job as general evaluator. And I just want to say, in the interest of time, I'm going to give you one last little, why do Romans always have a hard time ending relationships? Because their ex is always a 10. Back to you, Graham Cairns, Mr. President.
Oh, thank you, Kim, for that. For those of you who don't follow me on Facebook, I normally do a month of dad jokes, Joke Lie, and another month in Dadcember. Well, I retired Joke Lie this year, but I'm glad that I did, because otherwise it would have been overwhelmed by the fabulous joke of Toastmaster Kim. Thank you for that. Time now for guest comments. I know that we are at the top of the clock, and so we are officially ending, but I'd really like to hear from our guests who have stayed with us through the meeting.